All right, so we're starting a new book today called Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. So this book changed the world, and it's one of my favorite books. So let's go ahead and begin. Okay, so some background information related to this book. Alright, so understand that this is one of the most popular books in the entire world of all time. So that book sold more than 450 million copies worldwide. The author's name is J.K. Rowling. She's a female author who is British. She is from London. She was in a coffee shop sitting and thinking about stuff, and she randomly had an idea. And she started writing down this idea, and that became Harry Potter. So the book, Harry Potter, is known to make people more smart and to bond people together because every night families would read the book to each other. And it helped many people learn how to read, and they learned new words and different ideas, and their imagination grew because of this book. And families have had discussions with each other. So this helped people love reading. It also shows British history and culture through a different lens. And it's also published in many different languages and different accents, which is just like in the United States where we have different accents, or we have different areas where they sign differently, like New York signs compared to Iowa signs. The same concept as Cockney accents. It really depends on the place. And then other people have more formal, educated English, depending on where they're from. The author, J.K. Rowling, when she first wrote it, the book was purchased for $4,000. So $4,000 is not a lot of money for how many hours she spent writing the book. So now they also had to change it from philosopher to sorcerer, because people in America didn't understand the word philosopher, and they didn't think that they'd read it, so they preferred to change the word to sorcerer. That's more focused on magic. So it was first published in June of 1997. In 3 years, the book made over $480 million, and over 35 million copies were sold and printed in 35 different languages. So that really means that this book is popular. It doesn't matter what country or language you speak, people love the story. The only reason why the publisher picked that book is because his daughter read it and said, "Hey Dad, everyone should read this book." And the dad agreed and accepted the offer and approved it to get published. So those different colors represent different houses or different groups that the students have at school. So red is for Gryffindor. Yellow is for Hufflepuff. Blue is for Ravenclaw. And green is for Slytherin. And each of those different houses have different characteristics in there. So this author took quite a while to write this story. 6 to 7 years of changing it and editing it, and finally she decided that she was ready to publish the first book. So the first character that she created was Harry Potter, and she realized that when she was on a train. Most of the information and experiences that are shown in this book is because of her own experiences and her growing up in Britain. So J.K. Rowling, we don't know if you just read that name if it's a man or a woman's name. That's why she picked her initials instead, because she didn't want people to discriminate against her being a woman and didn't think it was important if a man or a woman wrote it, which is why she used her initials. There's many different characters that are in this book. So Ashley Wolf, a former staff at ISD, made a video with signed character names because so many different characters show up, and some have name signs and some do not. So Ashley picked the most common names and had name signs for those that deaf people use. She only picked the characters that names show up pretty often in the first book. Now there are other names, but they don't show up until second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh movies and books. So the setting happens in a school called Hogwarts. And that school is full of wizards and witches. They can fly, they can do all different kinds of stuff with magic. It's kind of the same concept as a deaf school. So both Hogwarts and deaf schools have a dorm. You live on campus, you have sports on campus, you eat on campus. All the way you stay on campus. It's the same concept as a deaf school. Because Harry Potter, also, he lived there, he does schoolwork there, he works there, he plays games. However, at Harry Potter school, the teachers live on campus. Some of our teachers live at ISD, but not most of them. But a long time ago, when our school was much older, they used to live on campus, but then they changed that. And now we live all over, so as you can see, my house is in the background. So the students there have different jobs, and they learn different things. Same as at deaf schools. So they have different kinds of plants that they learn about. Some have elementary school, and they have animals there, like the turtle in the elementary dorm. So that school was set up for one area that had many different communities all around it. So like here at ISD, you can go to Walmart or Target's right over there. It's the same as Harry Potter school. There's another small town close by. And there's a big town called London. And there's many what's called townhouses, which are small little houses that are usually pretty tall. There's not a basement. There's stairs that go up to a second floor. It's usually a very small house that's very narrow. And that town is also it's a very old town. It's very proper. It was set up a long time ago. Also, another area that happens in this story is a countryside. So there's farms, and they have grass the animals eat, and they have the animals in the pasture as well. And many people walk to different places, or use like the trolley is what they call it, and then trains. Some have cars, but it's not the same as here in the Midwest. And here in Iowa, many people drive places on their own. But in London, most people walk, or they use the train, or a bus. I've seen that before where they have the double-decker bus. It's a very tall bus, but they have 2 different levels of seats. So I also provided some fun websites that have more information about it. So you have 10 fun facts about J.K. Rowling. There's another article that talks about deaf people who researched Harry Potter. And it has many different names of movies and like who made it, and a ton of information on there. We have the original movie trailer, so you could see what it looked like way back in early 2000. I can't remember the exact date, but in early 2000 is when it came out, a few years ago. And you can watch the trailer. We have Niall DeMarco's take, and that's really important too, because he really cares about that movie because of the connection with the deaf world and Harry Potter finding his identity, because he grew up not knowing anything about his background, about his culture, language, history, anything about his family and his identity, until he went into Hogwarts and saw the school and realized that there's other people that were the same as him. And that's the same concept of what a lot of new people experience when they go to a deaf school for the first time and realize that, oh my gosh, there's other people that are the same as me. And they can sign, and there's culture, and there's history, and all of this stuff involved. So Niall does a great job explaining that in depth. And then last is from Gallaudet and their perspective. And that's a huge assessment of the book, all 7 books, and then the movies, and looking at how they are the same and different. And that's a little bit of a longer movie. It's about an hour. And it's connected to all of the Harry Potter movies. So, this is the reading plan from last year, but not this year. It's not going to be the same. I hope to post what you're going to read pretty often. I want you to read to chapter 4 and then watch the character summit video. I will post the PDF in Google Classroom, and then you can read from the PDF. And then I will make a video talking about each of the chapters, and Ashley Wolf will sign the character names and will sign the chapters. So I would really prefer you if you read the story, but if you want to watch the videos, that's fine too. Okay? Hope you enjoy the story. I look forward to teaching it.